The Battle of Towton, fought on March 29, 1461, stands as a harrowing testament to the brutal conflicts of the Wars of the Roses, a dynastic struggle for control of the English throne between the houses of Lancaster and York. This pivotal engagement, set against the backdrop of the medieval English countryside, unfolded near the village of Towton in Yorkshire. The clash between the Lancastrians, loyal to King Henry VI, and the Yorkists, led by the charismatic Edward, Earl of March, culminated in a bloodbath that would earn Towton its grim reputation as England's bloodiest battle. The roots of this conflict lay in the complex web of political, social, and familial rivalries that characterized the 15th century. The Lancastrians, symbolized by the red rose, and the Yorkists, identified with the white rose, vied for supremacy, each laying claim to the throne. Towton became the crucible where these competing ambitions and bitter animosities erupted into a cataclysmic confrontation. The political landscape leading up to the Battle of Towton was marked by the instability of the Wars of the Roses. King Henry VI's reign had been plagued by internal strife and external threats, and his mental instability further weakened the Lancastrian cause. The ambitious Richard, Duke of York, challenged Henry's rule, asserting his own claim to the throne based on his descent from Edward II. The escalating tensions between the houses of Lancaster and York eventually erupted into open warfare, with Towton emerging as a pivotal showdown. The battle was not merely a clash of arms, but a manifestation of the deep-seated divisions within English society, pitting nobility against nobility and tearing at the fabric of familial allegiances. The stage was set for Towton in the winter of 1460 to 1461 when Edward, Duke of York's son, declared himself Edward IV after his father's death. The Lancastrian forces, led by Henry Guy's queen, Margaret of Anjou, and her supporters, sought to quash the Yorkist threat. Towton, a vast expanse of open fields, became the chosen battleground, with its strategic significance amplifying the stakes of the conflict. The bitter cold of that March day added to the challenges faced by the combatants as snow and wind swept across the landscape. The elements, however, were but a prelude to the ferocity of the fighting that would soon unfold. The Battle of Towton commenced with a fierce artillery exchange, heralding the brutal confrontation that followed. The armies clashed in a maelstrom of violence, with archers unleashing volleys of arrows and infantry locking in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The medieval battlefield was a chaotic tableau of death and destruction, as knights clad in armor fought with swords and palourms, and foot soldiers clashed with pikes and billhooks. The brutality of the conflict was exacerbated by the personal animosities and vendettas that fueled the individual combatants. Towton witnessed a level of savagery rarely seen in medieval warfare, as both sides fought for their very survival. The desperate retreat of the Lancastrians towards Cockbeck intensified the horror of the Battle of Towton, adding a tragic chapter to the already brutal conflict. As the Lancastrian forces sought to escape the relentless onslaught of the Yorkists, they found themselves cornered against the swollen and treacherous waters of Cockbeck. The beck, normally a placid stream, had been transformed into a formidable barrier by the spring rains, further complicating the Lancastrians' plight. Caught between the merciless Yorkist pursuit and the unforgiving waters of Cockbeck, panic and chaos engulfed the Lancastrian ranks. Desperation fueled a frenzied attempt to cross the beck, with soldiers trampling over each other in a desperate bid for survival. The scene devolved into a nightmarish tableau of death, as the drowning cries of men mingled with the clangor of weapons and the shouts of the living and dying alike. The meadows surrounding Towton became a macabre stage for the unfolding tragedy, witnessing a massacre that added a gruesome layer to the already staggering loss of life. The frigid waters of Cockbeck ran red with the blood of the fallen, as Lancastrians either drowned under the weight of their armor or succumbed to the relentless pursuit of the Yorkists. The brutality of the battle reached its zenith along the banks of Cockbeck, where the very elements that had initially seemed an obstacle to the Lancastrians became the instruments of their doom. The aftermath of Towton was as consequential as the battle itself. Edward IV emerged victorious, solidifying the Yorkist claim to the throne. The Lancastrian cause, on the other hand, suffered a devastating blow. King Henry VI, Margaret of Anjou, and their son fled into exile, setting the stage for a protracted period of Yorkist rule. Towton reshaped the political landscape of England, but the scars of the battle ran deep. The sheer scale of the bloodshed and the brutality of the conflict left an indelible mark on the collective memory of the English people. The legacy of Towton extended beyond the immediate political ramifications, influencing the course of the Wars of the Roses and shaping the subsequent history of England. The battle marked a turning point in the fortunes of the Yorkist cause, propelling Edward IV to the throne and establishing the House of York as the dominant force in English politics. The Wars of the Roses, however, persisted for several more decades, with intermittent periods of conflict punctuated by uneasy truces. Towton, as a symbol of the savagery inherent in the struggle for power, served as a stark reminder of the human cost of political ambition and dynastic rivalry. The archaeological evidence from Towton provides a haunting glimpse into the grim realities of medieval warfare. Mass graves discovered near the battlefield contain the remains of the fallen, their skeletons bearing witness to the violent trauma inflicted upon them. The forensic analysis of these remains has offered insights into the nature of the injuries sustained during the battle, from the piercing blows of arrows to the crushing impact of polearms. The skeletal evidence attests to the ferocity of the fighting and the sheer brutality of Towton, underscoring the toll exacted on those who participated in this tragic chapter of English history. In conclusion, the Battle of Towton stands as a defining moment in the tumultuous saga of the Wars of the Roses. The sheer scale of the bloodshed, the intensity of the fighting, and the profound impact on the course of English history make Towton a compelling subject of historical study. This brutal clash of arms, fought on the cold fields of Yorkshire, encapsulates the dark and turbulent undercurrents of medieval politics and the human cost of power and ambition. Towton, with its legacy of blood and sacrifice, remains etched in the annals of English history as a stark reminder of the high price paid for the crown. Battle of Towton within the broader context of the Wars of the Roses. The use of powerful language, such as sheer scale of the bloodshed and profound impact on the course of English history, effectively conveys the gravity of the event. By emphasizing the intensity of the fighting and the human cost of power and ambition, you highlight the brutal realities of medieval politics. The mention of Towton as a compelling subject for historical study reinforces its enduring importance in the annals of English history. The choice of words like dark and turbulent undercurrents adds a layer of complexity to the narrative, acknowledging the intricate political dynamics of the time. The concluding sentence, referring to Towton's legacy of blood and sacrifice as a stark reminder of the high price paid for the crown, provides a poignant reflection on the consequences of power struggles. It encapsulates the lasting impact of Towton and suggests that its memory serves as a cautionary tale in the history of English monarchy. Overall, your conclusion effectively encapsulates the historical significance of the Battle of Towton and its enduring impact on the narrative of the Wars of the Roses.